So I welcome all my Facebook Live and YouTube Live audience and listeners. Now, as I'm going to talk on COVID vaccines, let me present this disclaimer that I'm not a doctor. The presentation is intended only for the scientific community. The members of the public should consult their physician if they are requiring any health assistance. The speaker would like to make it clear that the information on COVID-19 is rapidly changing, as everyone knows. And sometimes we are finding on the daily basis, there are some changes which is being shown by this pathogen. And so whole strategy which is working till date for treating COVID-19 may change over a period of time. I hope you must be knowing 2DG, which is entered into the market or which is going to enter into the market very soon. It is making sure that the previous treatment which were available like remdesivir, plasma therapy, and so on and so forth, even tocilizumab, they are shown to be ineffective, and people are started talking about that this treatment is of no use for treating the COVID patient. So I wish to make it very clear to my audience and listeners that the information on COVID-19 is rapidly changing, and that too on sometimes daily basis. So it is better to refer to reliable sources such as WHO website, Center for Disease Control website, Occupational Safety and Health Hazard Association website, or National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, central as well as state health departments website, and peer-reviewed science publication for confirming the facts. The research and insights provided here in my presentation are thought to be accurate and factual as per my knowledge goes. So let us move on to talk about nasal corona vaccine. I'm Dr. Atish Mundada. Would like to welcome everyone to this deliberation on nasal corona vaccine. Whole world is going through a pandemic. Almost everyone is stuck and caged into the house. Whole world is going through lockdown kind of strategies to curb the pandemic. And at the same time, vaccination is going on. So how this nasal corona vaccine could help us? Let me tell you, the vaccines are like gifts to the humanity. Those who are against vaccinations or having some ifs and buts related to vaccination, let me tell you, vaccine can only save us against this pandemic. So public complacency is dangerous to any vaccine program. Don't ever take it lightly and casually that I'm strong enough and my immunity is very strong and COVID will not affect me. It is not at all like that. If you are coming into the criteria of getting vaccinated, I would request everyone to go and get vaccinated first, because it is going to be the gift for humanity, which is being developed by many scientists all around the world, toiling hard day and night to come up with those vaccines. And if public is complacent and if they are overconfident, this attitude, if it prevails, let me tell you, society will come under a serious threat and it will be very difficult to large-scale vaccination program. So don't be overconfident. Don't take things lightly and casually. You know the numbers which are increasing like anything. And so help government for vaccination program. Now, everyone knows about this particular structure. And even you can, in midnight also, you can have a dream of this kind of structure because you are seeing it so many times. In this particular structure, the very important thing is that this particular pathogen is a single-stranded RNA virus. And the most important spike protein, which is there onto the membrane or the structure of this particular pathogen, it helps pathogen to get attached to the human cells. ACE2 is said to be the receptor for this particular spike protein. Spike protein have two arms, S1 and S2, and S1 arm has cysteine into it. That cysteine helps spike protein to get attached to the ACE2 receptor, which is there onto the cell membrane. And through that particular attachment, this pathogen gets entry into the human cell. And then using human cells machinery, ribosomes, which keeps copying the genetic material and keeps producing the proteins, that is being used as a Xerox copying machine by this RNA virus, and it starts duplicating itself. And when that cell dies, this virus come out of that particular cell and start engulfing and start producing and start infecting other cells in the lungs. There are four important structural components along with spike protein. We have envelope protein, we have membrane protein, and nucleocapsid protein, which are responsible for pathogenicity of this particular pathogen. And these are the important components of this pathogen or virus, which are being taken into account during development of the vaccines. Now everyone knows how this started. This started in Wuhan in December 2019, and that's why it is known as COVID-19. This is said to be the zoonotic virus because it has reached to human through bats or through animals, and that's why it is being said to be the zoonotic kind of virus. This is how generally when any infection takes place, our defense system or body mechanism start working against it. We have antigen presenting cells like dendritic cells, macrophages, that start attacking the virus and start activating the T helper cells, or they are also known as CD4 cells. CD4 cells help in ensuring that virus particles will be killed either through humoral immunity, that is leading that viral particle to the cytotoxic cells or CD8 cells, or stimulating B cells for inducing or generating antibodies which can kill the virus. Till date, it has been seen that those who are being infected with COVID, they have generated the antibodies, but unfortunately, the antibodies in that particular human, it lasts only for 6 to 8 weeks. And that's why vaccination is said to be the most important weapon for fighting against COVID virus. Now we'll see how our immune system works.
COVID-19 is not different from how influenza viruses attack the body. Therefore, the immune system has a predictable response to it. A cascade of viral particles enters the body through the nose, eyes, or mouth. Breathing carries some of these particles to the lower respiratory tract. Here, the spike proteins of the coronavirus, acting like a key, lock into the epithelial cells. SARS coronavirus 2 is able to stay undetected longer than many flu or coronaviruses. Its spike proteins are able to gain entry by unlocking the ACE2 protein on the lung cells. Once in, they hijack the cell's machinery, replicate, multiply, and infect adjoining cells. Viruses have a telltale signature on their surface called antigens. Spotting these is what kicks the immune system into action by producing antibodies. The signals they generate trigger another class of chemicals, cytokines and chemokines. They alert the immune system to send an array of different kinds of cells that specialize in destroying viral particles. However, these cytokines and chemokines trigger inflammation in the cells. In the case of SARS coronavirus 2, the virus seems better at penetrating deeper. The inflammation triggers a fluid buildup in the lungs apart from producing mucus and a runny nose to trap viral particles and prevent their ingress. The fluids also contain the residue of a host of specialized cells, including T cells. These carpet bomb and damage many of the body's own cells as well as the viral particles. It is in expelling this fluid that a dry cough characteristic of the coronavirus infection begins. As more air sacs are infected, the lungs find it harder to extract oxygen from the air, and eventually this aggravates breathlessness. The elderly already have an inherent malfunctioning in the immune system, especially those with existing conditions such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Mortality statistics globally suggest that men are twice more likely than women to succumb to a COVID-19 infection. Estrogen is said to be an immune system modulator. The ability to deal with a pregnancy primes women to better deal with infections, say experts.
I hope the things must be clear to everyone how our body tries to respond whenever we are being infected with this particular pathogen. No doubt, body tries at its levels best to create or generate the antibodies. But as I said earlier, the antibodies which are being generated for fighting against COVID, they last only for 4 to 6 weeks. And the titer goes down, and again you have a chance of getting infected. So reinfection can occur, and for that matter and the purpose, we are thinking of going for vaccination. Now let me tell you, this vaccine word had originated from Latin word varioli vaccini, which was being given by Edward Jenner, a gentleman who demonstrated this vaccination program in 1798. Vaccines are composed of either disease-causing microorganism, whole disease-causing microorganism, which is attenuated, or some part of which will be useful for treating or fighting and generating the antibodies which will help us in fighting against this pathogen. There are many factors that may influence the immune response to vaccination, like route of administration and presence of adjuvants. I'm going to talk about it later on, how route of administration gives us a different kind of response, and that is why intranasal vaccination is coming into picture. Apart from the route of administration, there is another factor which is responsible for giving us response to the vaccine, and that is host factors such as age, nutritional factors, genetics, and coexisting diseases. As we have seen and as we know that coexisting morbidities like diabetes and hypertension, it triggers the severity of COVID, and it also deter the vaccination program. So these are the different. Now everyone is talking how you can get the vaccine in 10 to 12 months. Have you manipulated something or something or like that? It is not like that. Let me tell you, no doubt traditional development of any particular drug, product, or a vaccine takes around 15 years, 12 to 15 years. But as this pandemic emerged or erupted, everyone was under the threat of this pathogen. So what pharma companies have done, they have taken this particular vaccine program on forefront, and there is a clinical trial which is required. We started carrying out phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials in parallel to ensure that you can get the vaccine in 10 to 12 months. This is what is the basic difference between vaccine development, which is being done traditionally, and in case of COVID-2 vaccine. So no manipulation kind of thing has been done. We have just ensured that phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trial should be carried out in parallel to ensure that we can save the humankind of all over the world. Now there are different ways by which vaccine can be created, and there are different vaccines which are there into the market, which uses or utilizes different platforms, and how they induce the immunity against COVID-19. I would like to play this video for you all, which will explain how immunity induced.
During a viral infection, the virus attaches itself to a human cell using its spikes. Following entry to the cell, it uses the host cell's machinery to replicate, producing viral proteins and genetic material. These are then assembled into new viral particles, which are released as the host cell dies. New viral particles again infect more cells, destroying body tissues, producing symptoms. Infected cells alert the immune system by displaying pieces of viral proteins on their surface. By doing so, infected cells are said to present the viral antigen to certain immune cells,
that is
namely cytotoxic T cells, and thus activate them. At the same time, debris of dead cells and viral particles themselves are picked up by so-called professional antigen-presenting cells, of which dendritic cells are most effective. Dendritic cells patrol body tissues, continuously sampling their environment for intruders. After capturing the antigen, dendritic cells quickly leave the tissue for the nearest lymph node, where they present the antigen
CD4
to another group of immune cells known as helper T cells. Viral particles also activate B cells in lymph nodes. These groups of immune cells work together to mount two types of immunity specific to the viral antigen: cell-mediated immunity and antibody-mediated immunity. The process, however, may take up to a couple of weeks, during which time the person is sick and the virus will have destroyed a vast number of cells. Vaccines deliver viral antigens to trigger immune responses without causing the disease. The events of a vaccine-induced immune response are similar to that induced by a natural infection, although some types of vaccines may induce only antibody-mediated immunity and may therefore be less effective. The immune process can sometimes produce symptoms similar to a mild infection, even though there is none. As the lymph nodes near the injection site start producing antibodies, they may become swollen and tender for a few days.
Even the injection site become tender.
These are signs that the vaccine is working. Many existing vaccines contain a weakened or inactivated virus. Because the whole virus is used, these vaccines require extensive safety testing. Attenuated vaccines may still cause disease in people with compromised immune systems. Inactivated vaccines only.
And
subunit vaccines contain only part of the virus, usually a spike protein. These vaccines cannot cause disease, but they may not be seen as a threat to the desired immune response. For this reason, certain substances, called adjuvants, are usually added to stimulate the antigen-presenting cells to pick up the vaccine. A subunit vaccine may also consist of empty virus shells without genetic material. Having a typical size and shape of a pathogen, these vaccines may not require adjuvants to be perceived as danger, but they can be difficult to produce. Nucleic acid vaccines contain genetic information for making the viral antigen, instead of the antigen itself. DNA vaccines introduce viral DNA into the cell's nucleus, where it is transcribed into mRNA. The mRNA is translated into viral spike protein in the cytoplasm. The protein is then displayed on the cell's surface, just like with other types of vaccines. Naked DNA vaccines require a special delivery method to reach the cell's nucleus. Alternatively, a harmless, unrelated virus may be used as a vehicle to deliver the DNA. In this case, the vaccine is also known as a viral vector vaccine. For example, the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine uses a chimpanzee adenovirus as a vector. The adenoviral genome is modified to remove viral genes, and the coronavirus spike gene is added. This way, the viral vector cannot replicate or cause disease, but it acts as a vehicle to deliver the DNA. The reason a non-human adenovirus is used is because most people may have been exposed to human adenovirus and have immunity against it. The immunity could destroy the vehicle before it can deliver the DNA and thus blunt the vaccine's effectiveness. DNA vaccines have raised concerns about the possibility of viral DNA integration into human genome. However, studies in animal models have shown that integration frequency is well below the frequency of natural, spontaneous gene mutations. mRNA vaccines introduce mRNA that contains information for making the viral protein. mRNA molecules are delivered within a lipid covering that will fuse with the cell membrane. Once inside the cytoplasm, the mRNA is translated into viral antigen, which is then displayed on the cell surface. Unlike DNA vaccines, mRNA vaccines are extremely unlikely to integrate into human genome, but they are fragile and require uninterrupted cold chain for transportation and storage.
So there are different platforms which can be used for preparation of vaccine. A whole protein can be used, protein subunit, as we know, spike protein, we want to induce antibodies against it. So that can be used, or you can use viral vector. which is non-replicating. You can use viral vector, which is replicating, but the pathogenicity has been reduced. So there are around 10 platforms which have been used. Currently, there are 100 vaccines which are in clinical development, and around this number is staggering. And you will be surprised to see these many candidates are there which are trying to there into the market. 100 candidates are there which are into clinical development. 184 candidates are there into preclinical development, and they have been using a different platform for development of vaccine. Mostly, as I said earlier, this spike protein is the most important component of structural part of this pathogen. And so these 3 types of coronavirus vaccines which are there currently in use, they use this particular technology. Either your vaccine is protein based, either it is viral vector based, or it is mRNA based. The Bharat Biotech Covaxin and your Serum Institute Covishield vaccine, they both are second type of vaccine, that is viral vector, where they have used adenoviral vector. As it is being said into the video that human adenovirus vector, it is not being used because sometimes you may have tolerance developed to it, and your immunity or your immune machinery may not respond to it. And that's why in Covishield, we have used chimpanzee adenovirus vector for inducing this spike protein. So this particular DNA from pathogen, it is being taken, it is being inserted into the chimpanzee's adenovirus, and this adenovirus, which is being then taken out, purified, and it is being injected, it leads to production of spike protein from into the body. This immune system then start producing the antibodies against this spike protein and helps in increasing our immunity against COVID-19. mRNA vaccine, it is being developed by US companies like Moderna and Pfizer. Now, why I wish to talk about nasal vaccine? The reason is over here. Majority of the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine which are formulated are parenterally administered. And let me tell you, it is obvious to develop parenteral vaccine first. The reason is the machineries or the facilities or the system which is being required to formulate and develop vaccines, they are ready for parenteral route, because most of the vaccines which are being delivered, they are given parenterally. So they are easy to formulate under an accurate dosage, because we have idea how to develop vaccine to be given parenterally. Again, the adjuvants, as it is being said into the video, the adjuvants which are required to increase the potency of the vaccines, they are available if you want to develop parenteral vaccines. Now, the problem with parenteral vaccine is that they can induce the systemic immunity, but the question is related to the mucosal immunity. And as it is being seen that the port of the entry for this particular pathogen is eyes, nose, and oral cavity, which is lined with the mucosal membrane. So it should happen that whenever pathogen is getting entry into the body, at that port only it should be checked and killed. So this kind of immunization, it is not being achieved. It is being seen and it is being documented in the research papers that whenever we go for parenteral vaccination, your lower part of the lung is getting protected or shielded against the pathogen, but the upper part of the respiratory tract and the nasal cavity or oral cavity is not protected with parenteral vaccination. Presently, these are 8 front runners of vaccines which are there into the market. Pfizer BioNTech, which is developed by US and Germany, it is mRNA vaccine. Moderna, it is being developed by US, which is again a mRNA vaccine. These 2 vaccines are being given in US and in other parts of the world. Then Johnson & Johnson's or Janssen, they have developed viral vector vaccine, and it is being developed by association of US and Belgium. The Covishield, which is being developed by Oxford and AstraZeneca, and which is being produced in India by Serum Institute, it is viral vector vaccine, and it is being developed by countries UK and Sweden in association. Sputnik V, it is again a viral vector vaccine, which is being developed by Russia. Sinovac or CoronaVac, it is being developed by China, and it is inactivated virus. Inactivated virus means the surface of the virus is being chemically treated to reduce its pathogenicity. Novavax, it is a protein-based viral vaccine which is being produced and developed by US company, and Covaxin, it is being developed indigenously by India. So we should be proud of ourselves that our country is also there into the list who has produced its first COVID-19 vaccine, and that too indigenously. It is again an inactivated virus kind of vaccine, and it is being developed by Bharat Biotech. Now, as I said earlier, parenteral vaccines are doing well, no doubt about it. They were the first one to reach to the market. The reason behind that was the machineries and facilities and the information which was available was more than sufficient to develop parenteral vaccines. However, mucosal immunity is said to be the most prominent to be considered because of the port of the entry for this pathogen, which is mucosal surfaces. Injectable vaccines have shown to protect the lower part of the lung. However, upper part of the lung and nose are not protected. And that's why you must have seen the people who are getting vaccinated, they have a chances of getting reinfected. However, the severity of infection is lowered down or curtailed down just because the lower part of the lung is being taken care of or it is being shielded. However, if we can develop a vaccine which can take care of not only stimulating the systemic immunization or systemic antibody production, but also if local mucosal immune response can be triggered, then it can help in achieving the sterilizing immunity against COVID-19. As we have seen, in case of parenteral vaccines, we have to go for 2 shots, or sometime it is being said nowadays that you will have to go for booster doses, because you will have to keep producing the antibodies to take care of your lower part of the lung. Wherein, if you are going for nasal vaccines, it is being said that even 1 dose of nasal vaccine can help in achieving both humoral as well as cell-mediated immunity against COVID-19. Now, supporting facts for advocating the nasal vaccine is that this has been researched in different labs. I've given just one example. See, chimpanzee adenovirus, which is being used in development of Covishield, same kind of vectored vaccine. It is being tried intranasally and intramuscularly as well into Syrian hamsters. Hamsters were being used as animal models. A single dose of the vaccine, it induced a robust spike protein specific antibody response, and this has been seen that intranasally, if the vaccine is being given to the hamsters, it could improve 6-fold higher in antibody titers than intramuscular delivery. And even it has been seen that upon challenge of these particular hamsters, once these vaccines were given intranasally, they showed a very less infectious, less prone to the infectious virus and viral RNA. So it can be said that lungs was being protected because the mucosal immunity was being achieved into the hamsters, and because of which reinfection with this particular virus could not be seen into the animal. This is one simple research work or clinical work, preclinical work, which has been shown to you. There are different kind of documents which have been published related to the facts that how intranasal vaccination for COVID-19 can help us in achieving this sterilizing immunity. No doubt, when we want to go for nasal vaccination, there are some challenges, and the very first challenge is that you have to go for higher antigen dose. The reason behind going for higher antigen dose for a nasal vaccine is because sneezing, which can occur when you are instilling something into the nose, you have a reflex action which is being shown by the mucosal surface of the nose, and sometimes it may happen that very small amount of vaccine amount of material which is being instilled into the nasal cavity will remain in contact with the mucosal surface, and rest of the will be thrown out during sneezing. Even there is difficulty to elicit the significant immune response intranasally because of the tolerance which is being case, which is the barrier. And third important thing, as I said earlier, for injectables, for parenteral vaccines, you have established adjuvants. However, for nasal vaccines, the need of effective and safe mucosal adjuvants is still there. And that's why we are still working for development of nasal vaccine, and no doubt researchers will come up with excellent, effective and safe mucosal adjuvants for development of nasal vaccines as well. Now, again, a small video to tell you how does this intranasal vaccine works. The video talks about
Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech will soon make 1 billion doses of an intranasal single-dose vaccine. Intranasal vaccines are administered by squirting or spraying the solution into the nostrils instead of injecting it. The vaccine will cut down on the need for syringes, needles, and alcohol swabs. If instructions are followed properly, it is like using a regular nasal spray. You can administer it yourself. While intranasal and injectable vaccines both help develop immune responses in the blood, intranasal vaccines could also tap into another set of immune cells found in the tissues lining the nose, mouth, and lungs. The T cells in this tissue can create a memory to patrol the places that they first encountered the virus. Few intranasal vaccines have made it to or past the trial stage. So far, only weakened versions of some live influenza viruses are administered as intranasal vaccines. The concept has been tested extensively in animals, but its safety for humans is yet to be seen. Only small volumes, typically around 0.1 ml, can be administered in each nostril, which is lesser in quantity than an intramuscular vaccine. The challenge is in proper delivery vehicles for single or multiple uses. Bharat Biotech's agreement is the first publicized attempt at getting an intranasal COVID-19 vaccine. However, this vaccine is yet to begin phase 1 human trials in the US. After this, Bharat Biotech will seek permission from the Indian drug regulator to conduct mid-stage clinical trials in India. Its effectiveness and safety will determine its availability in the country.
So you must have heard during this video that it not only triggers the systemic immunization or the B cells for inducing or generating antibodies, but it also helps in inducing or stimulating the local fighting cells which are there into the mucosal membrane, and that is what is known as mucosal immunity. It can be triggered into the nose if you are giving intranasal vaccines. The challenge is that the amount of the material or the volume which can be delivered through intranasal route is a bit lesser as compared to intramuscular or parenteral injections. These are the 4 important vaccines which are there into the pipeline. 3 are intranasally given and 1 is orally given vaccine. A vaccine which is being developed by Janssen, Belgium company, consisting of a non-replicating adenovirus 26 vector carrying undisclosed genetic material. It is under trial. Another one is intranasal Coroflu vaccine by University of Wisconsin and Madison. Third is Flugen and Bharat Biotech and the candidate which is being designed by Ultimune, US company. And one more company is there from US which is trying to develop oral vaccine comprising of different SARS-CoV-2 antigens which can be delivered orally. This is an overview of the clinical trials which are undergoing for intranasal route. The same way we have seen around 8 players are there which have come up with the parental vaccine. Similarly, around 8 to 9 players are there which are working towards the development of intranasal vaccine. Few vaccines or few candidates are there in phase 1, few are there into phase 2, and most of them are using either viral vector, live attenuated virus, or protein subunit. As we have seen in the previous case, for development of parental vaccines also there are different platforms which are being used. Similarly, for intranasal route, different platforms are there which can be used for development of vaccines. Bharat Biotech has started its phase 1 trial for BBV154, which is adenoviral vector COVID-19 vaccine. Recently, intranasal vaccines were there into the news. This is one company, Sanotize, which is a nasal spray which contains nitric oxide. It is being said that, as I said, spike protein has 2 arms, S1 and S2. And in S1 arm, there is a cysteine, which is amino acid, which can be nitrosylated because of the nitric oxide, which will be sprayed through the nasal cavity. And once the S1 arm, it is being nitrosylated, then it cannot attach to your S2 receptor, which is there onto the cells into the lungs. Similarly, Avalon Globocare, they have started working on to development of intranasal and oral COVID-19 vaccine. This is the news of 26th June 2020. Then clinical trials for different nasal spray vaccines and cytokine storm blood filtering system. Avalon Globocare has started working on it. University of Waterloo is say to develop nasal vaccine for COVID-19. This is the news of 4th of March 2021. Nasal drop vaccine candidate for coronavirus from India. Bharat Biotech started working on to it. Is news of 3rd of April. Nasal spray to fight COVID. 2 countries have given interim approval for sale. Manufacturing of NONS nasal spray for of nitric oxide nasal spray under the brand name of Innovid has begun its trial in Israel. Similarly, our Indian pharma company Glenmark, it has joined hands with Bosch to commercialize nasal spray in Canada. Then Finnish company has announced that they are going to develop a nasal spray vaccine for COVID-19. This is again news of 10th of March 2021. US region Tampa, there is one company, Tampa-based company, working onto the nasal COVID vaccine. Then another news from Newsbrief and intranasal COVID vaccine, how they can help fight the pandemic. This is the news of 4th of May 2021. And the next generation of COVID-19 vaccine could be the peel that is there into the news recently. People are working on to developing the vaccines which can help us in inducing the mucosal immunity as well, which is not being generated. Let me tell you the basic difference between the induction of mucosal immunity and systemic immunity. In case of parenteral vaccine, we see that IgG is being stimulated or IgG is being secreted to ensure that we can fight against COVID. However, in case of intranasal vaccine, it is not only IgG, but IgA is also being secreted, which helps in curbing the entry of the pathogen inside our system through nose and take care of fighting power of our immune system to curb the infection due to this pathogen. Now, what is the landscape of India with respect to the COVID vaccine? We know there are 2 vaccines which were there already into the market. Now 3rd vaccine from Russia, it has been also given an emergency use authorization. Covishield, it is being given by SII, Serum Institute of India. Covaxin, it is being given by Bharat Biotech, and it is being only indigenous vaccine which is available in India. And 3rd one is Sputnik V. Recently, the Renu Swarup, who is Secretary of Department of Biotechnology, he has announced that there are 4 to 5 candidates which are there into pipeline and which are shown to be promising. One is DNA vaccine, which is being getting developed by Zydus Cadila. Protein subunit vaccine, which is being developed by Biological E Limited. mRNA vaccine candidate, which is being developed by Genova Biopharmaceuticals Limited. And single dose intranasal vaccine candidate, which is under trial by Bharat Biotech. And soon they will be seen into the market. So this is how the nasal vaccine trial of Bharat Biotech candidate, that is BBV154, is going on. It is there into the phase 1 and the results are really encouraging. This is small status regarding vaccination. Let me tell you, we are also trying our level best, but because of the population and because of the preconceived notions, the vaccination could not be initiated the way it should have been. But no doubt, throughout the world, 9% population has received first dose, whereas 4% population is being fully vaccinated. In case of India, 10% population, this data is of 21st of May, and it is being taken from WHO's website, which is established and standardized website to have this kind of data. In case of India, we have got around 10% of the population which has received the first dose, and 3% of the population is being fully vaccinated. These are the daily COVID-19 vaccines which are being given throughout the worldwide. According to the countries, no doubt India is at the last paddle because of the population or the preconceived notion, as I said earlier. But now the awareness regarding vaccination is being increasing. Various NGOs are working towards it to ensure that vaccination program should be driven the way it is being driven into other countries of the world. And surely we'll find that number of the vaccinated people is being increasing in our country as well. In summary, I would like to say that don't worry, there are a number of vaccines which are under trial, getting into the development stage, getting into the human trial stage, and soon you will be having plenty of options available for vaccination. Just till then, you are getting vaccinated, ensure that you are taking care of yourself and your family members. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your patience listening. I'll be happy to answer your questions.